Happy Saturday. Welcome in. It's the Saturday Show 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone, 10 a.m. Hope you've got fun plans for your Father's Day weekend. I know I do. Tomorrow we're going to take Pops out golfing. I'm excited for it.
There you go, man.
I know he's excited for it.
There you go. Happy to be back for another Saturday with you, Christian, to talk all things sports. But Father's Day on the forefront. I don't know what me and my dad are going to do yet.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's okay.
I think tonight he's going to a birthday party.
Okay.
So we can't really do much today, but we'll see what happens tomorrow. I think we might just make him food or something.
That's always hey,
and by make him food, we'll probably go buy him food because none of me or my siblings know how to make anything besides grilling.
That's fine.
But we made carne asada last weekend.
There you go. And I bet it was amazing.
So we can't I can't repeat.
Oh, you got plenty of options.
Yeah, I guess.
You can go to the Rancho markets.
Maybe we'll do burgers or something. I don't know. We'll see. But I am excited for Father's Day. Always excited to celebrate the old man.
Well, and it's been, the weather has just been tremendous. It's a little hot for me. I run a little warm. So once it hits 90, I'm like struggling. But it's it's nice.
It's nice, but it's not. This is probably the worst time of the year, honestly. Because it just gets too hot and too stuffy,
I think
man.
August is worse.
No. August is a little bit better because there's more sports going on.
Okay, yeah.
But right now it's just like we have to wait a couple days till the NBA finals and the NHL finals start up again, and then obviously tonight there's a game, but earlier in the week, like on Tuesday, there was nothing to do.
Yeah,
man.
that was Tuesday was really really hard.
It was just hot.
It was just hot. You just melt.
Disgusting. Except in here. In here
it's like 8 degrees maybe.
We got the heater on, man.
I should have brought my coat. Sean, you got big plans for Father's Day weekend?
Working.
There you go. You were in Cedar City last week for the summer games. I'm sure you had a blast.
Oh, yeah. We got rained on a little bit, but made the best of it. It was a great time.
There you go. Yeah, I know KSL had a big block party down there. Hans and Scotty were down there doing their show. I had family down there. My sister played soccer. Heard a lot of good things about the opening ceremonies. The fireworks show was apparently tremendous. So I love summer games. I think they do a great job every year. And, I think it's a great opportunity for kids. I was telling you a little bit last week, like between my brother and my sister, feels like my parents and my family have gone down to Cedar City for the summer games for like 10 years in a row. And I just think that's a cool opportunity to travel without having to like travel super far. And it's not like, I don't know, crazy intense. It's cool.
Yeah, it's like the Summer Olympics down there.
Yeah,
for Utah,
it's a big deal for the kids, right?
Yeah.
But it's like, I don't know, Cedar City's not that far, and it's not hard to get down there at all.
I remember the first time I went down there for summer games, I got a bronze medal.
Yeah, and it's awesome.
I hated it.
Oh, you were upset you didn't win gold?
Yeah, because it was bronze.
Yeah. Let's just say my cabinet is full of bronze medals and participation trophies.
I didn't do much winning.
I don't have a lot of gold mixed in there.
I didn't do much winning either, man. I feel you.
Oh, well, good times.
Yeah.
All right, let's start things off. We got to start. Let's go NBA Finals because this series has been awesome. They're trading blows. Two heavyweight fighters. OKC tied it up last night. Series is tied 2-2. OKC gets the 111-104 win at Indiana, which is huge. I think the biggest thing for this game, obviously, is with OKC picking up the win, they avoid going down 3-1 because only one team's ever come back from 3-1 in the finals, yada, yada, yada. And so basically once you go down 3-1, it's over.
That's huge.
So avoiding that for OKC is big. Now you go back to Oklahoma City, you get to play at home where they have been virtually unbeatable. And it feels like the Thunder have the momentum now once again, and it feels like Indiana is back to being the underdogs, backed up on the ropes.
Right.
We'll see how they respond.
Well, we haven't really had a chance, obviously, since last week to dive into this series. So I do want to go back to Wednesday night to that Pacers win.
Okay. And we can hit both.
And talk about how monumental that was for the Pacers.
To get, to go up 2-1 in the first place.
To go up 2-1 and have that, I guess, confidence of, because the reality is no one was talking about the Pacers before the series started, right?
Right.
It was all OKC. OKC were the biggest favorites to win this NBA Finals. OKC was going to basically run through the Pacers, and it wasn't even going to be a contest.
Yeah.
But the Pacers have answered the bell, man. You go back to the Halliburton shot to win Game 1, and then you have Benedict Mathurin putting up 24 points to get you the 2-1 lead at home, and then phenomenal response by OKC last night. And I think it was super, super important. Last night's game was super important because truly it felt like the winner, if the Pacers won that game last night, the series was over.
Yeah. Well, in a similar sense, like you're saying, going to Wednesday's game, Indiana needed to win at least one of these 2 home games. And so they shouldn't necessarily be worried that they lost last night. But, I mean, they shouldn't be complacent with the fact that they did win a home game, right? But if they, similarly to what we're saying, right, if they go down 3-1 and then have to go back to Oklahoma City, like, you're toast.
Right.
So, yeah, picking up the win Wednesday was big. At the very least, guarantees a Game 6 in Indiana, and you're extending the series that far. We'll see what Game 5 looks like first. We've got to get there, but overall, I think this has been a tremendous series. I think it's what the NBA could have asked for. I know earlier in the season, the struggling ratings was a big conversation, and I know that there have been a lot of poo-pooing about small market teams and whatever being in the finals, and nobody wants to see this, but like, that's the vocal minority on social media, right? You kind of got to ignore that. And when you look at the actual product that's being put up here, I mean, every single game pretty much has been close. And you've got the game-winning shot. You've got the drama. You've got the MVP putting up MVP performances like we saw from Shea last night, and we'll get to that in a bit. But I think this is exactly the type of finals that the NBA needed. The last thing they need is OKC versus Indiana, and OKC wins in 4 or 5.
Right. And I feel like that's what everybody thought was going to happen.
And that's what everybody thought was going to happen.
Right.
So you got to give credit to the Pacers for truly fighting and making this a very entertaining series, no matter what ends up happening. I mean, the Thunder could still win this thing, and it feels like a success because you are truly getting very entertaining basketball night in and night out. And, I mean, this is a Thunder team that dominated the NBA all season. They basically, I mean, they did struggle with Denver a little bit, right? But through the playoffs, I mean, you still thought this was OKC's trophy to win. But now you've got this Pacers team that is really pushing them to the edge and really questioning, like, okay, are the Thunder this juggernaut that we thought they were going to be? Not to say that they still can't win this series, but I think it's raising a lot of questions about OKC's ceiling in the near future. And we can get into trade talk later. We're going to talk about Kevin Durant because that move feels like it could be coming in the next couple of days. But regardless, you know, it basically solidifies that the Thunder aren't quite this dominant dynasty team yet, which, you know, we had a conversation about. I think it was 2 shows where everybody's freaking out about, oh, they're the next dynasty. No, I think this series proves, not to say that Indiana's not a good team either, right? Because they're a good basketball team.
They are good.
But I think I like that this is kind of exposing the Thunder a little bit. And not exposing because, I mean, the series is tied 2-2. They still have a very good chance to win the series and win the NBA Finals, which is what you're all playing for, right? But it definitely shows that, like, yeah, the Thunder are not this perfect team.
Right. And I mean, looking at it from the perspective of both sides, I think as far as the Pacers go, I think head coach Rick Carlisle said it best and he said after that win on Wednesday, if we're going to pull this off, if we're going to win this series and win the NBA Finals and be NBA champions, we're going to need everybody. And they've shown that through this series that they can rely on just about anybody. I mean, we talk about Benedict Mathurin, who showed up huge on Wednesday night. They're going to rely on every single person on that roster to get them over that hump. And so far, they're doing it. Like we were talking about, the whole small market talk, and I feel like there was concerns about, you know, whether or not people were going to be excited and tuning in to watch this final. But because of that Halliburton shot, because of the way the series has gone, with both of the sides just trading blows back and forth, I feel like it's made it a super interesting series and a super fun series to watch. As far as the OKC goes, from their perspective, I wonder how much truly experience also kind of factors into this, because everybody talks about how young of a team they are. And I mean, the reality is for a large majority of these guys, this is their first time here. And I mean, it is true with the Pacers too, but they have a head coach who's been in this position before. Rick Carlisle has won before.
Right.
And
Rick Carlisle won it with the Mavericks.
Exactly. And so I wonder how much too that plays into experience and how much that plays into why we're seeing the series go the way that it is, where everybody thought that OKC was just going to run through the Pacers, but the reality is it's been super fun and super entertaining watching these teams go back and forth.
Yeah, I think the main drawing point to me, and I'm sure there are a lot of people that agree, I don't want to speak for anybody, but on one side you've got the Thunder, right? You've got the MVP. You've got the guy, and again, his performance last night was the reason that they won. And that's one style of basketball. But then on the other side, you've got what feels like it's just a team. It's team play. I mean, Tyrese Halliburton is their biggest name, right? But I think he's only crossed the 20-point mark in the series once.
I think you're right.
In game 3, he put up 22 points.
Yep.
Other than that, he put up 14, 17, and 18. So it's not like you're getting a 30-piece from Halliburton. I mean, he hasn't even come close to 30 points yet. But then you've got Nesmith, Nembhard, Mathurin, TJ McConnell, Obi Toppin, Pascal Siakam. It's like all of these guys are contributing to these Pacers wins, whereas for the Thunder, it's like you need Shea and then J-Dub and Chet.
Right.
And if one of those three has a bad game, chances are they're going to lose. Not to say that one style is better than the other. I think it's truly showing that there's no blueprint to success in the NBA. And I think that is good for Jazz fans. It's good for fans of a lot of teams. It shows that you don't need to do any one specific thing to build a championship contending roster. There's plenty of ways to get there. You just have to make good decisions, whatever the decisions are. Whether you get your top 5 talent or whether you build the deepest team, there's no one way to do it.
It's not, no. And I think both of these teams are a perfect example of that. And I think like Austin Ainge said in his intro presser, we just want to stack good decisions on top of good decisions. And I feel like the OKC Thunder and the Indiana Pacers, that's how they got there. They've just stacked good decisions on top of good decisions. Sometimes maybe a little bit of luck.
Oh, plenty of injury luck. I mean, if you look at neither of these teams they're all fully healthy.
Right.
Like the Thunder went up against the Nuggets, who they went to Game 7, and by Game 7, Aaron Gordon could barely walk.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the Pacers, like Cleveland was hurt by injuries. They beat New York, who got past Boston probably because of injuries maybe. We all know that New York, the way that Tibbs ran that team, nobody was healthy by the end of games because they get so worn down. So, yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a coincidence. I think injury luck is always going to play a part there. I do want to get into last night's game, though, because I think it matters a lot seeing this type of performance that we got from Shea.
Yes.
Indiana entered the fourth quarter opened with Indiana up, right? Indiana was leading entering the fourth quarter. The score was 87-80.
Yes.
There we go.
Yep.
And it was a battle. I mean, it was close the entire way until the final 5 minutes is when Shea kind of started his thing. And, over the final 5 minutes, SGA, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, reigning MVP, he scored 15 of the Thunder's final 16 points. He did that on a perfect 100-100-100 split. He made all 3 of his field goals. He made his 3-point attempt and then all 8 of his free throws. And that's huge because we've seen ball-dominant players across the NBA, right? Players that want to take it into their own hands. And sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. We've seen Luka hit big shots. We've seen Donovan Mitchell hit big shots. But then we've also seen those guys brick it when it matters. And I think the bottom line is this is kind of the crowning moment for Shea. I mean, Obviously, the biggest goal that he can accomplish is lifting up the trophy, the finals trophy, and winning that. But having cementing performances like this, I think, is going to go a long ways towards crowning him as likely the face of the league. And I know that's what the NBA desperately needs, is a new face of the league. And it still feels a little premature, but it's like you've got a guy who has done it consistently throughout the season. We knew over the past couple years that he had this potential, right? Now he's meeting that potential. Not only does he do it throughout the regular season and some of the playoffs, but now we're into the finals, and he's doing this to lead his team to wins and tying up the series when it matters. Like, this is the big stage, and this is SGA taking over the league.
And I think last night, not only the performance from SGA, but I mean just the performance from the Thunder to go out and win the fourth quarter, I thought that was huge, because how amazing have the Pacers been, not just in this series, but I mean throughout the course of the NBA playoffs. How amazing have the Pacers been in fourth quarters?
The Pacers had, I saw a stat the other day after Game 3, right? OKC, you look at the scoring differential. OKC had won quarters 1, 2, and 3. And then the Pacers were like plus 27 in the fourth quarter. So
exactly
what you're saying, yeah, the Pacers have been an incredible fourth quarter team, mainly because of the way they play. I mean, they wear you down. They gas you to death, right? There was a screen grab going around of the fourth quarter Game 3 during like a out of bounds or a timeout or something, and all of the Thunder players are like bent over, like gasping, hands on their hips. And the Pacers players are like standing up straight, like, let's do this.
Yes.
And so, yeah, for OKC last night to win the fourth quarter, I think it's a big response.
I think it sends a huge message to the Pacers and saying, hey, look, you have that opportunity to go up 3-1, but we're not going to let you. We're going to make sure that the series goes 2-2, and we're taking it back to our place to potentially take that 3-2 lead. The fourth quarter, the Pacers have been a phenomenal team, but last night OKC showed up in the fourth quarter, 31-17, Christian, in that fourth quarter. You're going into that fourth quarter, you're down 80-87, and you're able to come out, put up 31 points in the fourth quarter, and only hold the Pacers to 17. And I thought that was absolutely huge, aside from the phenomenal performance we saw from Shai Gilgeous-Alexander in that fourth quarter. For OKC, I think that's exactly what you want. That's best case scenario. You're able to win the fourth quarter while your superstar, while Shai, your MVP, the MVP, is over here putting up that performance. We talked about how important it is for J-Dub, for Chet to have good performances to help OKC win these games. But at the end of the day, I feel like we talked about this last week too. When you're in those moments, you want Shai to take over these kinds of games, and he absolutely did it last night. And I think that's huge for OKC, and I think that's huge for Shai.
This is the superstar, the MVP rising to the occasion, right? And we saw this a little bit last year during the Western Conference Finals. Anthony Edwards kind of had his coming out party and really put himself on the map as in the discussion of future face of the league, right? And I know that's getting into the weeds, and it's mostly personal preference, face of the league. Like, what does that mean? But the fact of the matter is, Anthony Edwards went to back-to-back Western Conference Finals, and for whatever reason, was never able to get it done. And now you have SGA, who is, like I said, rising to the occasion. He is doing it.
Yes.
And I think I can't state it any better than he's playing like the MVP. He's playing like the guy who wants to be the face of the league, the guy who wants to take over. Like, if the Thunder do end up winning this series, it's SGA's league now for the next 10 years.
I'd say it already is.
It's close. I mean, if they lose the series, that's really going to hurt him, right? Because you look at, like, I don't know, just thinking back to the KD, Westbrook, and Harden Thunder, right? Those guys lost the finals, and that kind of really destroyed their team. And yes, they all went and did a lot outside of that. Westbrook and Harden won MVPs after that. But I don't know if any of those three really were ever in the conversation for face of the league. Whereas if the Thunder would have won one of those, if they would have won the finals and potentially stayed together, I don't know. Anyways, no. I think that's valid though, because what we saw last night, like we are in the midst of a takeover, and that's what it truly feels like.
That's where he is. That's where SGA is. And again, I feel like last night's performance just kind of put a bow on it and said, "Look, I've arrived. I'm here, and I'm going to make sure my team holds up the Larry O'Brien Trophy at the end of this because we're going to be NBA champions." And the second he does, I feel like I feel like Shea is going to be the face of the league.
Which is kind of crazy because we have a guy in Nikola Jokic who's won MVP 3 times in the last 5 years. But I don't know, he just doesn't have really the personality, I don't think, to be the face. And that matters. That matters.
That does matter.
It matters.
That does matter.
And
plus, he's not the flashiest.
Right. And that goes into that, right? And Shea is flashy without being boisterous.
Yes.
And he has the swagger and he has the personality and he has what it takes. And I really am excited because this is kind of a spot the NBA hasn't been in because they've relied so heavily on LeBron James over the last 22 years. Yeah. And it was like, okay, who's going to take over once LeBron leaves? And for a second, there was the thought it was going to be Giannis, and it almost was, but like LeBron still stuck around. And I still think that as long as LeBron James is an active player, the NBA is going to be reluctant to move away from him. But it's like, man, if the Thunder win this series, like this is it. This is what they have been waiting for. This is the successor to LeBron James.
I would 100% agree. Also, one of the things I find interesting from this series and from the NBA Finals and from watching the voice of the media throughout the course of this series is how much the narrative switches from game to game. After game 1, everybody's talking about, the Pacers might be able to pull up this upset, and then they go back to 1-1, and everyone's like, you know what? Yeah. OKC's going to take it.
Right.
And then game 3 happens, and the Pacers are up 2-1, and everyone's like, hold up, wait a minute, the Pacers might actually take it. And now we're back to 2-2, and it kind of feels again that everybody's talking about, OKC's going to win.
Yeah, I mean, it's very easy to live in the moment, right?
How wild. It's just crazy how much it swings back and forth, just based off of one game.
Yeah. That just shows it truly feels like that's how big the moments have been.
Yes.
The final whistle blows.
Yes.
Or the final buzzer blows every night, and it's like, oh my gosh, that game was so entertaining. What that team did to win, they did exactly what they needed to do to win. And I feel confident that they're going to do it again and again and again. So, yeah, I would agree. It is funny to get kind of caught in the moment there, but this is what the finals are about. Like, I truly believe that this is the exact type of finals that the NBA needed because it's not a big market team against a big market team. And you do have name value in the current MVP. You've got the youth because these guys are going to be around for a long time. You know that the Thunder are going to be formidable for a very long time. You know that even the Pacers have what it takes too. They're not a veteran roster by any means. They could be threats to the East for a very long time. And you're just on the court, you're getting a great product.
And I think that's the best thing that can happen right now for the NBA.
Yeah.
Again, considering how much talk there was coming into this series about the small markets and the ratings being down and yada, yada, yada. I mean, there's still talk about the ratings being down. I feel like that, I don't know why.
Again, who cares?
It just won't go away.
It's fun basketball. That's what matters
It just won't go away, but at the end of the day, it's fun basketball to watch. And I think both of these teams, again, the way that they're trading blows, going back and forth, right? One team punches the other in the mouth, and then the other team comes back, punches the other in the mouth.
Yeah.
I think that's absolutely the best case scenario right now for the NBA, and it's what's making the series so fun. Truly, Christian, I don't know what's going to happen in Game 5.
No, and that's the best part is like
exactly
they're going back to OKC, where, like I said, it felt like they've been unbeatable at home, but we literally saw Indiana take Game 1.
Exactly.
And I know it took a borderline miracle to win that game, but like, you truly can't say with confidence that OKC is going to win Game 5.
But that's what's made the Pacers so fun is the fact that they've been able to go off and pull those miracles, right? We talked about it last week after Game 1, how important and how crazy it was that the Pacers just keep doing it again and again and again with these late comebacks, with these late shots, late game winners, and Tyrese Haliburton showing up at the most clutch moments. They've already gone and stolen a game in OKC, which is why looking at Game 5, I have no clue which way it's going to swing because truly it could go either way. And I hate that we have to wait till Monday to find out what happens.
Yeah.
We got to go a whole weekend with no NBA Finals. It's ridiculous.
Man, you know what this feels like to me? Have you seen Rocky 2?
I haven't, no.
So essentially, you know the story or no?
I mean, kind of.
So Rocky
I know
is
Sylvester
like
Stallone's going out there boxing. I don't know.
So he's like this underdog fighter, right? This kind of no name. And in number 1, he gets a shot at taking on like the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world in Apollo Creed. He loses. Rocky loses in number 1. In number 2, they have a rematch. And at the end, they're like trading blows. And they're both on the mat. And the ref starts the 10 count. And they're both down. And then they're like both... It's all like super 70s dramatic, like big, muscly, sweaty guys climbing up the ropes as the ref is counting down. And they're like both trying to get up before the 10 count, right? And that's kind of what this series feels like. Going back to the heavyweight fighters trading blows, and you truly don't know who is going to stand up before that 10 count ends.
I like that.
Spoiler alert, Rocky ends up winning in number 2.
Who's Rocky in this case? Is it the OKC
I mean,
Thunder?
I guess it would be the Pacers because they're kind of the underdogs, right? I don't know. That's just the way to fit that analogy.
Clip it.
Christian
just said he's going for the Pacers.
Yeah, I would like it.
Give me OKC, bro. Give me OKC.
We will see. When is the next game is Monday, 2 days off.
It's Monday.
As you were saying, no more basketball this weekend.
I like, spreading them out and extending this.
I don't like the 2 days in between games.
Yeah. I like extending it and getting this as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
But waiting a whole weekend, lame.
Yeah.
And then to go to Game 6, it won't happen until Thursday. So you got another 2-day stretch there where you got to wait to see what happens next. Lame.
And if we get to Game 7, that's not until next Sunday.
Yeah.
So
Great.
2 days in between all of these games.
Yeah. Like I said, I love, being able to watch this, being able to indulge, and being able to watch the NBA Finals. But waiting this long, I'm not a fan.
No.
Give it to me tonight, man.
Well, we got to take a break. Coming up on the other side of the break, we're going to talk Kevin Durant because he's been a hot topic throughout this show, but we're starting to see reports that the Suns are really motivated to get a trade done before the NBA draft. Even some rumblings that a trade could happen sometime this weekend. So we'll get into some of those details next. It's the Saturday Show 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
It's the greatest night in the history of my life. I just want to say one thing. Yo, Adrian, I did it!
Oh, it's the Saturday Show 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Excellent job, Sean. That was great. A little bit of Rocky there. During the break, I was showing Alex the clip of my Rocky analogy, Rocky 2.
It was very dramatic.
Rocky knocks Apollo Creed down. They're both on the mat. The ref starts the 10 count. Rocky gets up, takes him 9 seconds. Apollo Creed gets up, but then he collapses and falls down as the 10 count rings. Rocky is the champion.
Adrian!
That's how I see the NBA Finals going.
I agree, man. That's a good analogy.
We'll see.
It's a good analogy.
I might look stupid. This might be more of Rocky 1 where Apollo Creed wins. But the Rocky was just happy to be there. He was happy to make it out alive.
Now I feel like I have to go home and watch these movies, man.
Rocky 1 and 2 are awesome. Rocky 3 and 4 are good, but they get really cheesy. 5 and 6 don't bother.
I don't know what it is about Sylvester Stallone movies being a common theme, but recently Alex Curie told me that I needed to watch Rambo.
Yeah, Rambo's good.
The Rambo movies.
Yeah.
So I got a lot of Sylvester Stallone to catch up on, apparently.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah,
That's fine. I mean, yeah, they're classics.
I guess. I don't know. I've never seen them.
Okay, let's get into some of this Kevin Durant trade rumors. Shams Charania was on Pat McAfee yesterday, and he was talking about basically the teams interested in Kevin Durant, and that team. That list of teams has been whittled down to essentially 3 finalists. You've got the Houston Rockets, the Minnesota Timberwolves, and the Miami Heat, kind of out of nowhere. And as I teased kind of before the break, the Suns want to get this deal done before the draft, obviously, because whatever they're getting in return for Kevin Durant is going to include draft picks this year.
Right.
So they want to have plenty of time to do their scouting, know where they're going to be picking, and potentially bring players in for workouts. So that's kind of the motivation of why this deal needs to get done ASAP on their end. And in case you don't know, you can make trades during the NBA Finals. You just can't if you're playing still. So the Pacers and the Thunder can't be involved in any moves, but everybody else can. So that's kind of big to point out there. But I want to run through these teams and kind of talk about them. We've talked about it a little bit. I guess off the top of my head, the Rockets would make the most sense just because they've got the young core, they've got assets, and it feels like Kevin Durant just fits best with that team where he can slide in and be the guy, but not be like the only thing, right? And the Rockets team made the playoffs this year. They actually finished the regular season as the second best team in the West. And I know they'd have to give up some of their younger players and, again, draft picks. But at the same time, I don't feel like that would be detrimental to their, I guess, war chest of assets that they have. They don't have a ton, right, similar to the Jazz or the Thunder. But they have enough assets that it's not like a Kevin Durant trade would completely deplete them for the future.
I think I would like a landing spot of KD to the Rockets, just because I feel like they have a good young core.
Right.
They have a good core of players where, like you mentioned, if KD goes, he's the guy, but he's not the guy. And I feel like with KD aging, with his inability to finish a season healthy,
right,
I feel like that could potentially help to bring in a veteran to help that young core for the Rockets, maybe get over that hump. Yes, they were the number 2. I thought they played pretty well in the playoffs.
Yeah, they played all right. And I mean, if you're the Rockets, you're holding on to Şengün for certain. You're holding on to Amen Thompson. You really wouldn't want to give up Jabari Smith and Jalen Green, but you might have to give up both of them. But even still, if you keep Amen Thompson and Alperen Şengün and then add Kevin Durant there and then keep some of the veteran guards that you have, I mean, that's enough to get it done. And we really didn't even see a lot of Reed Shepherd this year because of the fact that, he was playing behind Dylan Brooks and Van Vliet and some older veterans there. So you might be able to have a pretty legit roster there in Houston. Now, the bad news is, Jazz fans, this is what you've got to think about. You've got that 2031 Suns first-round pick. So you're kind of thinking like, okay, do you really want the Suns in return getting these young players to build around, right? So that's the tough part. It's almost like for Jazz fans, you want to root for the worst trade possible. So in my opinion, you almost don't want you don't want Kevin Durant going to Houston because they might get the Suns might get a couple of nice players back that they could build around and potentially be competitive again here in 6 more years. But again, I don't know. 6 years is still pretty far out, and a lot can change even in one season in the NBA, so it's hard to project that.
But the reality is that the Suns, this whole project of going all in on Bradley Beal and Kevin Durant, and having Beal, Durant, and Booker, it didn't work. It blew up in their faces.
Yeah.
Quite literally.
Yeah.
And the Suns, they're in a major desperate need of a rebuild, because I think the way things are going right now for the Suns, there's there's not a lot of hope there.
Exactly. Next team, Minnesota. Similar to Houston, right? I mean, the Timberwolves are a team that they've made back-to-back Western Conference Finals, haven't been able to get over the hump. Would Kevin Durant fit next to Anthony Edwards? I would be interested to see that. We know that Anthony Edwards really looks up to Kevin Durant. He kind of idolized him. It was his favorite player growing up. So that aspect of it would kind of be cool. From Minnesota's side, they don't really have a ton of assets. Their picks are all with the Jazz.
That's true.
So I mean, you're looking at trading picks like way down the road, and basically just matching salaries. But that would be interesting because obviously he's a really good scorer, and it would take a lot of the scoring load off of Anthony Edwards. There was not really an option that could do that with the Timberwolves, and I think that might have been their biggest flaw, is if Anthony Edwards wasn't getting it done offensively, there was really no other option. I mean, Julius Randle had a good series against the Warriors, but I would not trust him. I mean, we saw against OKC, he fell apart. So it would kind of be an interesting fit. I don't know. I mean, if you're Minnesota, that would really be all in, right? That would be your final move, and if that doesn't work, you're hamstrung.
If that doesn't work, it's kind of over for you. Whatever window this is for the Minnesota Timberwolves to potentially, try to go get their ring. If you go all in on KD and it doesn't work out, your window's over. It's closed.
Yeah.
And you're gonna have to enter that rebuild. Because at that point you're giving up. Like you mentioned, you're gonna have to give up some players to match those salaries, and who knows what Minnesota would have to give up to get KD, but
you'd have to give up a lot. I mean,
yes.
If you're Minnesota, you're almost hoping that you can include Julius Randle in that deal to get off of him.
Yeah.
And he's at about $31 million. So you need a couple more pieces to go along with Randle to match Kevin Durant's $54 million salary. But it's doable. It is. But I want to talk about this last team, the Heat, because that feels really random to me. It feels like it came out of nowhere. But apparently, I don't know if it's coming from Kevin Durant's side or if the Heat are just making a strong push. But this is the one that, out of these three finalists, this is the team that makes the least sense to me, right? Because it doesn't feel like they're close. And it's not like they have a young superstar to build around, similar to the way that the Rockets or the Timberwolves do, right? If you're in this scenario with the Miami, he would be asking Kevin Durant to come in and be the face of the team. And I don't know if that would really work out well. I do think it's interesting that Kevin Durant played with Bam Adebayo during the Olympics. Sounds like for this deal to get done, the Heat would have to include Jaime Jaquez or Nick Jovic. So I don't know. I mean, you'd still, in that scenario, you'd keep Tyler Herro and Bam Adebayo and pair them with Kevin Durant. But that, I don't know. I know the East is thin, it's weak, but that just doesn't, that screams second round exit to me.
I feel like from a Miami perspective, it makes sense.
You think so?
From a Miami Heat perspective, yes. Because Miami needs a superstar.
Yeah.
They need a superstar. They need to bring in a big name. And obviously they feel like Kevin Durant would fit that mold. But I feel like for Kevin Durant, it doesn't make sense. Because at this point of your career,
right,
you want a ring chase. The reality is...
I mean, Kevin Durant's always been ring chasing.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. You want to continue to ring chase. And I feel like if you end up with the Miami Heat, you're kind of taking yourself out of that conversation because...
You're not better than the Pacers.
No.
You're not better than a fully healthy Cleveland or Boston. I know those teams still have moves that they both need to make, right?
Right.
But I wouldn't take the Heat immediately over either of those teams.
No. I mean, if you look... If we're looking at the three finalists, the Heat, the Rockets, and the Timberwolves, of those three teams, the Miami Heat have the least chance right now to go out and win a title.
With Kevin Durant.
With Kevin
or
Durant.
without. I mean, yeah, sure.
So just from a Katie perspective, it would make sense. But from a Miami perspective, I think I see why it would make sense because Miami's a big market, and
You need the star.
you need that superstar.
Similar to LA, right?
Right.
That's why they went out and got Luka.
And you don't have that superstar right now. So from that perspective, it would make sense. But like I said, from KD, that one just doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't make sense.
After losing Jimmy Butler, you're kind of left without an identity.
Right.
I don't know. If I don't know exactly what it's going to take to get done. It sounds like the Spurs were in the running, but they are very unwilling to give up the number 2 overall pick for Kevin Durant, which on San Antonio's side, I think that's smart. But it also makes it sound like maybe the Suns are going to get a little bit more in return than we were initially thinking, even though Kevin Durant is old and expensive and I don't want to say problematic, but it's like he's either going to retire or leave in 2 years, you know? So it's a big gamble for whoever takes this trade on, but I'm interested to see the main thing that interests me, and it's something that I've mentioned so many times on this show, is you've got Kevin Durant and Giannis Antetokounmpo, or the big 7-footers that teams really want this offseason. We don't know what's going to happen with Giannis in Milwaukee. Sounds like there's a lot of teams interested in Kevin Durant. Whoever misses out on Kevin Durant, Lauri Markkanen is the perfect backup plan to that. So I think that is the domino that needs to fall, right? Whoever misses out on KD, whether that is the Spurs because KD was too expensive, or whether that is the Rockets because he ends up going to Miami or Minnesota, or maybe Minnesota is like, yeah, let's get Lowry because he's a little bit younger and could pair with Anthony Edwards for a longer time. I don't know. I think I'm really fascinated by that, and I don't know if other NBA teams really see it that way, because as Danny Ainge was saying, to make a trade, the other team has to be really interested in your guy, and it sounds like last offseason, at least, there weren't a lot of teams that were really interested in Lauri Markkanen. So who knows? But I do think this Kevin Durant domino that's about to fall, I think is going to set off sort of a chain reaction of a lot of big moves. I think there's been a lot of chatter of this could be a very busy NBA offseason.
I would agree. And, to kind of go along with that, we had NBA AP writer Tim Reynolds on JJ and Alex earlier this week, and he kind of said the same thing, where the second one domino falls, it's going to just cause this huge chain reaction of trades and moves that leading up to the draft. And that could include the Spurs trading away number 2.
Yeah, and the fact that they didn't want to trade number 2 for Kevin Durant, I think kind of raises, I perk up a little bit when I hear that, because that signals that they're not going to make a desperate move just to make a move. And it makes me wonder if they really aren't interested in trading out at all. But you never know. I mean, for the right offer, I think they should. I think they would. But we'll see. The draft is a week and a half away. I'm very excited.
Man.
Next week, by the way, little tease, next week, our show, we're going to spend a lot of time previewing a lot of the potential prospects for the Utah Jazz at the number 5 pick. But who knows? Maybe they'll make a trade and end up picking number 2 or 3. I don't know.
We'll see, man. We'll see. But it does kind of feel like right now we're at a point where everyone's just kind of waiting for the first domino to fall. And the second it does, I feel like we're gonna be in for some fun.
Yeah, teams are holding their breath, and it really does feel like that first move is going to be Kevin Durant, and then teams are going to go from there.
Yeah, I think Giannis will follow right after.
You think Giannis is going to get moved?
Probably.
Really?
I think so.
I
feel like the Bucks. I feel like at this point the window's closed, man. It's over.
Yeah.
You went all in on Damian Lillard, and now you don't have Damian Lillard for next season.
I think it's easy to see that from our perspective. I don't know if the Bucks feel that way. Sometimes it's hard, being in the front office, being desperate. Trading away the face of your franchise, one of the best players in your team's history, is hard. I feel like it's probably a 50-50 shot that Giannis gets traded. I wouldn't be surprised either way. But, I mean, if it does happen, yeah.
The latest reports were saying that the interest has kind of cooled off.
Yeah.
And he was maybe going to end up staying. But I still think that if there's an offer out there for Giannis that the Bucks can't refuse, especially an offer that would help the Bucks build up their own war chest, I feel like that's something you have to really consider this season.
Well, and as we're saying, I mean, if Kevin Durant really is the first priority for some of these teams, once that trade happens, teams are going to turn to other options.
Which is wild to me.
Yeah, Giannis is more valuable than Kevin Durant.
I would take KD over I would take Giannis over KD any day, man.
Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, KD would take less to get, right?
Yeah. But I mean, like you mentioned too early in the segment, like the reality is KD has maybe 2 seasons left in him.
Yeah. I'd be shocked if he's playing into his 40s.
And I feel like that. I feel like that should really impact the value.
Yeah.
Of what you can give up for KD.
Yeah, I think the Suns are in a tough spot.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Yeah. Big
I'm excited.
Move potentially coming.
I'm excited, man.
All right, let's take a break. Coming up next, we'll hit technical fouls. I've got a lot this week. Still not sure exactly which ones I'm going to hit. Got a couple of NFL things in there. Stephen A. Smith, always catching strays. That was pretty funny. We'll get to that next. This is the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.
If you touch the thermostat,
You'll get hit with a bat.
'cause that's a technical foul.
You will feel my wrath.
That's a technical foul.
Personal foul, 69, offense. He was giving them the business.
A technical foul.
Welcome back to the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone. Christian Esparza, Alex Napoles. Time to get into technical fouls. We've got a lot to go through today. Do you want to start us off?
For it being a slow week, it was a lot of knucklehead things going on
Yeah.
this week, and we'll start with the Knicks
Okay.
because I feel like we need to give him a technical foul.
Yeah, this was probably the most blatant technical foul of the week.
So, in case you weren't aware, the New York Knicks fired Tom Thibodeau. To the reaction, I feel like a lot of people were surprised by it. You have a head coach who has brought you your most successful era in the Knicks since I think it was the 90s, if I'm not mistaken, and they fire him, and then obviously the Knicks try to find their next head coach, and what they do is they end up going to the Dallas Mavericks and asking them, "Hey, can we interview Jason Kidd?" And the Mavericks are like, no thanks. We're good.
There's like, heck no.
We're good. Then they go to, who else did they go? They went to the Atlanta Hawks, try to get Quinn Snyder, former
They
Utah Jazz head coach.
Reached out to the Timberwolves.
Reached out to the Timberwolves for Finch. They reached out to, who else was on that list? There was the Houston Rockets. They reached out to Udoka. And there was one more. There was a couple more.
Regardless,
but
the
basically,
point is they're asking other teams if they can talk to their coach.
And they're like, no.
Yeah, they're like, are you crazy?
No. And so Charles Barkley gets on ESPN and does the pregame for, I believe it was Game 3. And Charles Barkley phenomenally summed it up on what the situation is for the New York Knicks.
The Knicks got to be the stupidest damn people in the world. Like, you don't fire no good coach like that and don't have a plan. I mean, Tibbs did a hell of a job. Obviously, something's going on there, but you don't have a plan. And now the three coaches turn you down. You got to have a plan, man. And they don't have a plan now. I mean, I don't know what the hell they're going to do.
I mean, yeah, he's saying what we're all feeling, right? They got to be the stupidest team.
They are.
Yeah, you fire your coach and your backup plan is to get with other coaches. That's like in high school, like you break up with your girlfriend and your plan is to get with one of your friend's girlfriends. Like, of course they're going to say no. What's wrong with you?
Oh, man. They fired Tom Thibodeau. They have no backup plan. You have all these teams and all these head coaches in the league saying, no, we're good. We don't want to go there, or you can't interview our guy.
Yeah.
You have college head coaches who were potentially floated out there who are saying, no, we're good. Dan Hurley, Rick Pitino. They're like, no, we don't want to. We're good.
They are meeting with former Kings coach Mike Brown and former Grizzlies coach Taylor Jenkins for their head coaching job.
Well, at least they're not employed.
At least they're not employed.
At least they're not employed.
It's a step in the right direction for the Knicks. Are either of those coaches better than Tom Thibodeau was? I don't know. I mean, there's a reason that those guys don't have a job anymore. But we'll see.
It's just interesting and wild.
Michael Malone, another option, by the way. They're not planning on meeting with him, but he is another coach that was recently fired that is jobless. So
He sums it up best. Barkley sums it up best. How you don't fire no good coach and don't have a plan.
Right.
And that's where the Knicks are. Technical foul to the New York Knicks.
Sticking with the NBA and some of their coverage, this one's quick. We won't spend a ton of time on it. Stephen A. Smith last night caught on his phone playing solitaire during Game 4 of the NBA Finals. There's a funny picture of that going around. He's making a joke out of it. He said, "Good thing I can multitask, especially during timeouts." But regardless, that's a bad look. I mean, this is your guy Stephen A. Smith, who people already wonder if he actually even watches the games or just repeats the same screaming talking points over and over again. Yeah, you've got him on his solitaire app during the finals.
In the middle of the game. I don't like this.
No.
I don't like this.
Put your phone away.
Exactly. You're in the arena. And I get, Stephen A's been to probably 1,000 games at this point. But it's the NBA Finals. It's a phenomenal series. At least pretend to care.
Right. And if it is a timeout, like talk to somebody. Talk to your coworkers. Like interact with people. That's weird. I'm going to go back to back here. I'm going to go with the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm giving them a technical foul. This is a really weird situation. With their first round pick, they drafted Shamar Stewart, 17th overall. He's a defensive end. You're seeing a lot of rookies starting to sign their deals as mandatory minicamp is here. The Bengals, however, are making it really difficult for Shamar Stewart. Long story short, they're trying to include some contract language in there that would void a lot of the guarantees, which is really abnormal. And Shamar Stewart is saying, all I want is the same type of guarantees that your last few first-round picks have had. He's not asking for anything out of the ordinary. He just wants deals structured the same way that the previous draft picks had. But the Bengals really want to have these guarantees in there, or the voidable guarantees in there, which Shamar Stewart feels like is unfair to him. So he left minicamp. He's not there. He's not participating. There's even rumors thrown around that he could withdraw his name from the Bengals, which apparently you can do as a draft pick. You can withdraw your name and enter next year's draft, like re-enter the draft.
That's wild.
And I didn't know that was a thing. Apparently, Bo Jackson did that. I didn't know. I was not aware that he did that. That was a big deal with the Buccaneers. He was really upset with them, so he sat out and re-entered the draft the next year and was selected by the Raiders. I didn't know that was a thing. I think that's really interesting. I didn't like the Stewart pick anyways. He had 4.5 sacks in college, like career sacks, not last season.
Oof.
4.5 career sacks in college. So I always thought that was a weird pick. Where did he go? Oh, he went to
I think
I don't know
A&M. Texas A&M, I think.
Yeah, Texas A&M.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
But anyways, what are you doing, Cincy? Like,
First of all,
just sign him.
Kind of cheaping out.
Well, and you've got the whole deal with Trey Hendricks.
Exactly. You got the whole situation with Trey Hendricks, who your best defensive player. You can't.
Trey Hendrickson, sorry.
Trey Hendrickson, you can't renegotiate. You lose Jermaine Pratt. You cut him, actually. One of your leaders on that defense. You cut him earlier this week. And now you have your first-round pick who doesn't want to sign because of language in the contract.
Yep. Yeah, you've got in Trey Hendrickson. He led the NFL in sacks last year.
Right.
He's led the NFL in sacks over the last 2 years, actually, as the most over the last 2 years. And then, yeah, first-round pick. And you could potentially not have either of those guys on your team because you're so bad at negotiating contracts. So
I saw a funny tweet earlier in this week, and I wish I would have saved it to give credit. But I saw a tweet earlier when the Shamar Stewart news happened on Thursday, I believe it was, where they were saying it'd be really funny if the Cincinnati Bengals drafted Shamar Stewart, who is a defensive end, to come in and kind of not necessarily replace Hendrickson.
he was the backup plan for sure.
Kind of like push, Hendrickson and say, oh, well, that's fine if you don't want to, re-sign. We got this other guy coming up, and now this other guy coming up also doesn't want to play for you.
He 100% was a backup plan. And now, like I'm saying, you might not have either of them. So we'll see there. Do you want to wrap us up with the last one? We got to hit this. Or should I read it?
What's going on with AB, man?
Antonio Brown. And the only reason that I include this in here, I made this joke yesterday. Nobody died, so we can laugh about it. Right?
No, that's terrible.
I don't think anybody somebody did get hurt.
Yeah, somebody got hurt, Christian.
Well, the only reason that we're making light of this is because nobody died. Antonio Brown is wanted on an attempted murder charge in Miami, according to an arrest warrant. This incident took place after a boxing match in May outside. It was an amateur boxing event. There were videos going online where Antonio Brown was in a melee and gunshots were heard. The story, I believe, I think he grabbed a security guard's gun and shot it at this guy that he was fighting.
Yes, that's what happened.
Again, nobody died.
Look, man. I think it was Thursday night where I was driving home and driving down I-15, and I get a notification from ESPN, and sorry, I looked at it, and I read Antonio Brown wanted for attempted murder, and so my mind immediately goes 1,000 miles per hour because I'm thinking like, oh, AB killed somebody.
Well, he tried.
But it turns out he tried.
Yeah, so
Wild.
let's see. Allegedly. Right. Thank you, Sean. Allegedly attacked the man. During the video...
I don't know how alleged it is. There is a video, and I saw it.
There is a video. Well,
Yeah.
because nothing's official yet, he hasn't been, arrested
Yeah, but you can kind of see it in the video.
and gone to trial.
Okay.
We have to say alleged.
Allegedly.
Cell phone video captured 2 shots fired. I want to read the funny part. I just think it's funny that he grabbed the security guard's gun and shot at the guy. 2 shots fired. The man attacked. He ducked after the first shot was heard. Officers found 2 shell casings and an empty firearm holster at the scene. And he's wanted. He's a wanted man. I guess, is he on the run?
I don't know.
I haven't heard that they got him.
Is he going to turn himself in? Who knows?
Who knows? I doubt he's going to turn himself in.
Probably not. Anytime I see Antonio Brown trending, I'm thinking like, oh,
He's a psycho.
what do you do this time? This is not
Not a good look.
not what I was expecting.
No.
I was expecting some other Twitter rampage where he's just tweeting a bunch of random weird things, but this is serious. This is a very serious charge, and I did not.
I do want to say, all jokes aside, I am glad nobody
Yes.
is dead.
Yes.
So
It's the most important thing.
if somebody would have died, it probably would not be in the technical fouls.
I would agree. Yeah.
Wouldn't want to touch it.
But like you said, nobody died, so we can make fun
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, we got to take a break. Coming up next, Alex, I want to get into an interesting conversation because, we talked about the NBA Finals to open the show, but for as much fun as the NBA Finals have been, the Stanley Cup Finals have been arguably better. So we'll get into that next. It's the Saturday Show, 97.5, the KSL Sports Zone.